Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. We're going to tackle about medication review forms. And I'm Dr. Erwin Martinez Falier, your professor in pharmacy department in San Pedro College and a visiting professor in Bournemouth University, United Kingdom. So welcome to our next topic on medication review forms. So as we all know, in our practice of pharmacy, we're going to usually document different, shall we say, medication-related problems and even demographics of our client. So in the process of our documentation then, we have this medication review. Now. So this is what we call as the comprehensive medication review. And there are different factors then affecting with our medication reviews. One would be our comorbidities, polypharmacy, adherence, and aging and safety. So these are the main components then of our comprehensive medication review. Now I'm going to move on one by one with the different components of comprehensive medication review. Now one of it would be comorbidities. In the comorbidities, as we all know, there are certain medications which are contraindicated then with other diseases or with other taking up with another medications. And another one would be in terms of compliance with care guidelines and recommendation, which is actually also in relation to our clinical guidelines. And another one would be in response to therapy, whether it is effective or not for a particular diseases or condition then. And lastly, under comorbidity would be untreated conditions. Now, moving on to another factor, no, or part of it would be the polypharmacy. Now, in the polypharmacy, we all know that there are two or more of the medication taken by the client or the patient then. So we be able to validate in terms of the indication, the duration of the treatment, and of course, other factors. Now, in the indication, we will be able to validate the indication because there may be certain duplications of a certain medication. And there are instances, if it is two or more, there are higher chances in terms of interactions. It may be also drug-drug interaction, drug-food interactions, drug-herbal interactions, or more. And under also with polypharmacy is sedative, anticholinergic, and serotonergic load that may have potential in terms of side effect associated with this particular medication, especially for geriatric patients. Now, as we all know that in polypharmacy, most of it are affected, particularly in the age of a geriatric patient. And another one would be aging and safety. In the comprehensive medication review, there are different factors under your aging and safety. And one of it is adverse drug reactions. And under the aging process, as we all know that physiologically in the body, there may be depreciations or degradations then of the physiological function then. The kidney, the liver are usually affected with this. And we need really to adjust in terms of the doses because of its potential toxicity in the body, especially for geriatric patients. And in the adjustment of the dose, it may be overdoses or underdose of a particular drug. We take note that there are some drugs which actually have very narrow therapeutic index. We need to be able to take note with that in terms of safety. In the narrow therapeutic index, there are thin line only in terms of its potential toxicity. And also under aging and safety is the appropriateness or inappropriateness of a particular drug. We be able to have criteria, like for example, the Beers criteria, the geriatric appropriateness of a certain medications then. So it looks into the safety and of course, depending upon the age, the vulnerable groups are usually with your geriatric and pediatric patients. Lastly, in the comprehensive medication review, we have adherence. In the adherence, there are other different factors affecting with this, and one of it is in terms of the dosing time, intervals, and drug forms. Wherein in the drug dosing times, it may be uncomfortable for the patient to take it 3 times a day. We may actually substitute it in terms of once a day from a particular immediate release of a medication of 3 times a day. We may actually modify it into once a day. No? If, like for example, if it is a sustained release or modified release, then no, that can actually take a longer period of time for it to actually have this therapeutic efficacy in the body instead of once a day, or shall we say 3 times a day, into a once a day mode. Intervals, as we all know, it may be, morning, afternoon, evening, or maybe intervals of a particular drug. And as we all know, in terms of drug forms, from oral dosage form of a capsule and tablet, it may actually go into a particular liquid form, because there are some patients which may actually difficulty in terms of swallowing, or they have difficulty in terms of oral route, no? It may actually go into another route of administration. There are a lot of route of administration. It can be inhalation, it can be a suppository type, no? In the rectal mode, or other forms of dosage form. Another one would be the ability to use as instructed. There are some patients may have illiteracy, no? Some of them illiterate in terms of taking up with a certain medication, especially inhalers, no, oral contraceptives and all. And maybe the patient will be complaining to your botica, into your clinic, that, you know, I the patient may be pregnant, or maybe not going to have this therapeutic efficacy, or maybe complaining about adverse effect because they are not aware or empowered as per instructed. And it may result into other medication related concerns or drug related problems. These are part of it, no? And maybe these drug related problems interfere or lesser in terms of the adherence of the patient. Another one is the financial capability of your patient then. As we all know, we are in the third world country, and especially affected with the rural areas. There are poor people around. We cannot assume that everyone can afford with the medication, because that's their obligation to take with the medication. But to think of it, in the poverty line, there are almost 90% are suffering in terms also with the cost of the medications. And we'll be able to look into this, that the patient will be affordable and must adhere then to the Generics Act of 1988, because it actually promotes us in terms of generic use, which may be affordable for the patient then. So these are the different factors then which are included in the comprehensive medication review. So it's holistic in terms of approach, not only looking at technical, no, documentation, but also moving on to a lot of factors affecting in terms of the patient. Okay, looking at drug-related problems. Now, in the drug-related problem, this is the main core programs or interventions then that we need to do for a certain patient. So these are the examples of drug-related problems in terms of therapy that may be indicated or needed, but it was not prescribed to the patient. That may interfere then on pharmacologically to the patient, or patient is not taking or receiving a prescribed drug because maybe due to non-compliance, or they may actually receive the drug prescribed, but then they are non-compliant then to the medication, or taking or receiving with wrong drug, which may actually say that they may actually self-medicate or maybe receive a prescribed drug in the wrong indications or the wrong diagnosis, or it may be a wrong drug given to by the pharmacist then, or taking it or receiving the drug which there is no valid indications, taking it a longer period of time, like for example for geriatric patient having a lot of pains, they take it for a long period of time, and what will happen is that it will cause a lot of adverse effects or side effects then associated to kidney and liver, hepatotoxicity and nephrotoxicity then. Or the patient may be having overdosing or underdosing, or it may result of a lot of adverse drug reaction that may also hinder in terms of the compliance of the drug, or it may result to a lot of drug interactions then. So there are a lot of factors, even in appropriateness or appropriateness of a drug, the interval, the route of administration, the duration, and the regimen may need to look into for that as part of the consideration. Even the availability of the drug, even the affordability of the patient, or even it is out of stock, because that's the responsibility of the pharmacist to dispense a certain medication then. And other factors such as behavior of the patient, even also the perspective, the knowledge, the attitude of your patient then, and even the biopharmaceutical. And what is under biopharmaceutical? It is all about the absorption of the drug into the body that may have dramatic pharmacological response. And what will happen if there's no absorption then? Of course, it affects in terms of bioavailability then on a particular site. So it really matters then the application of all this pharmacology, pharmaceutics is an integration then of what we are doing then in our dispensing class. Okay? So even the dispensing error, patient behavior then, monitoring, and that would be the endpoint that we are looking at. This is a holistic approach, you know, from the relationship then up to our monitoring of our patient. So when we monitor certain medication, it's all about appropriateness. Is it the rationality? Is it rational then to take with this medication or not? No? So we need really to look into all the considerations of taking with the medications. And this is all about in terms of the process. From as what I have explained last time, that the process looks into a systemic approach, no, of dealing with documentation, then from the relationship of the patient and interviewing with subjective, objective point of view, looking at all those things from the chief complaint, history of the present illness, no, family history, social history, the medication history, medical history, and all must be considered so that you may able to have a correct systematic assessment to your patient in the development, leading to the development of your care plan. Remember, you cannot have a good care plan or intervention without a good assessment. A systematic assessment from A to Z must be adhered. You don't just jump from one area to another area or another concern without solving first or without clarifying first the particular information. Okay? So after you have developed your care plan, it's already the time for you to have intervention and very important, the follow-up. Okay? So this is what we do and with what we actually use in terms of the format. So IAO, and usually it's adaptable then in some of the hospitals, clinics, or even in the dispensing in the hospital or in the community setting then. Okay? Always look at drug-related problem as a major issue then. Okay? You don't ask the patient, Mom, do you have a drug-related problem? No, because it surface later on, no? The particular themes or the particular problems, asking with different questions. Okay? And you will have probable actions or intervention, then what will be the outcome then that you need to carry on for your patient. Now, this is a stepwise approach according to Halvor Sen into 2019, wherein you'll be able to collect a particular data to your patient. Data coming from medical charts, from records, from your interview then, from the score, pain score, symptoms scores and all, and even the objective, the biochemistry values that you can get. But usually in the community setting, most of the time, the patient don't actually bring the laboratory values or the biochemistry values in the community setting. It's mostly in the hospital setting. Okay? We may actually have the collected data then, whether it's subjective or objective, no? That needs to be clarified on. If you're not clarified on the data, don't actually hesitant to collect for the benefit of your patient. Okay? After you've already collected all the data of your patient, you have clarified in yourself that these are really very good data, then you'll be able to have a systematic medication review. And what is all about the systematic medication review? You have the data already. You'll be able to relate and identify then drug-related problems and identifying it, correlate it, no? Trying to correlate it, no? Compare it with the clinical guidelines then. Okay? The therapeutic guidelines that you always follow. Whether it's start-stop tool, the drug interaction databases, your MIMS, your drugs.com, etc. You'll be able to clarify it. And number three is that you'll be able to work as a team with other healthcare providers in discussing, in solving, and making your plan then. And that is really a collaborative approach for all of us. It's not only when you develop a certain plan, then you'll be able to work as a team. That is why you need to call the doctor. This is not a solo flight for all of us. No? Step number 4 is you be able to follow up. If the pharmaceutical care plan is being approved or amended, you need to have a monitor and follow up if there is an agreement between 2 parties or 3 parties. If there is a tripartite agreement between the nurse, pharmacist, and physician with regards to the plan. So it's not all, that is why it will not be successful if it is only one people, the pharmacist, can only work for it. There should be a collaborative approach. It's now time for all of us to really talk with our physician. We should not ignore them. Even the nurses and other healthcare provider, we need to work as a team then. We need to collaborate with other. So it is not true that we are working alone. It's not true that we can just do it alone in our pharmaceutical company because we are drug expert. No, there's no such thing as that. We need really to collaborate. How much your particular pharmaceutical care plan, whether it's perfect, where it's a very good intervention, if it is not approved and agreed upon, the recommendation by the doctor and nurses, then it's futile, it's useless then. Okay? You need really to collaborate. Now, we have this amended patient medication profile for us really to look upon the combination of the past medical history, the past medication history, the present or the current medication history, and all the demographics interventions that we need to do. This is actually according to RA 10918 in terms of the mandate by all parties and the Board of Pharmacy then to be inspected by the Board of Pharmacy and FDA that there must be a patient medication profile in different setups, whether it's community or in the hospital setting. So I'm just teaching you this is the new trend nowadays for our practice, as mandated by RA 10918. So I have developed this one, the patient medication profile then, looking at demographics, the name, the date of birth, the body weight in kilograms. The height sometimes in the Philippines are inches, but we can actually convert that one in centimeter. How? By just using your Google, or you may actually look at also some of the computations then, if you have a calculator. But if you have an internet connection, you just put it there in the Google, and voila, you have your result in centimeter. If you have actually this body weight and height, you'll be able to compute also your BMI. From the BMI then, you'll be able to have your BSA, body surface area. Identify the gender, whether it's male or female then, and of course the date. The date is actually the current one that you have actually get the profiles or the profiling or the medication review profiling that you actually do. Another one would be the past medical history. This is actually your chief complaint. The past medical history would actually looks into the different no, parameters then. The chief complaint, the history of present illness, the family history, and the social history. Let's go on one by one so that you'll be able to understand what is the components then of the past medical history. Now, the chief complaint is that you'll be able to ask your patient, Mom, what can I do for you? No? Mom, what are your concerns regarding your disease or regarding your medication? So the patient will actually tell you that I may have a headache, or I may have a diabetes, I may have a hypertension. So at the very first, no, we're in, this particular patient will go to your clinic or into your particular community setup or in the hospital setup, hospital pharmacy. You'll be able to actually identify what is really the present complaint of the patient. Why is it na niadto siya sa imuha? Why is it the patient actually went to you and actually need your advice or counseling then? So that's the chief complaint. The present, okay? The one that will tell you what's the main purpose then of a certain counseling or intervention then. That's the chief complaint. So if the patient went to you and say, Ma'am, kasi maalagad na ako sa imo, what can I do for you? I have a headache, I have diabetes. That would be the chief complaint then. Another one would be the history of the present illness. If the patient is actually told you that she have a swelling, that's a chief complaint, you'll be able to dig more about the location and other factors then. So if the patient would actually tell you the swelling, your history of present illness will identify where is that swelling, the location, and how do the patient actually alleviate this particular swelling condition. What the patient usually do to actually alleviate, okay, this particular suffering or illness of the particular patient. Kasi ginabuhat niya. Okay? At the same time also, the family history. You'll be able to identify also if they have a bloodline then of, if the chief complaint will be diabetes, you'll be able to have this family history that the patient may have, if the family members per se, the father may have diabetes or the mother may have hypertension then. Because it may be genetically within the family in terms of their disease. Another one would be in terms of social history that may affect in terms of taking up, maybe enzymatically will induce or inhibit certain enzymes then, or it may actually have interaction then in terms of the social history of the patient. So in terms of smoking, how many sticks per day, alcoholism, bottles per week, caffeine, cups per day. Recreational drug is more into drug abuse. So don't ask the patient, what are your recreational drug? Because they may actually tell you that I am exercising because it's recreational. Or I'm going to have video okay and all, no? Because that's a recreational, no. So you'll be able to identify, you'll be able to ask if there are any other drug abuse or potential drug abuse by the patient. And of course, the occupation. The occupation may actually identify also in terms of, like example, the patient may have asthma or maybe respiratory diseases and all that may actually promote more in terms of the asthma or respiratory diseases. So moving on, we have allergies. You may actually identify if the patient is allergic to a particular substance by asking, do you have any allergy, ma'am, that will trigger in terms of your disease? And what would be the types of reaction? Reviewing with it would be your type A, B, C, or whatsoever, no? In the different types of reaction for allergy. Or is it actually a PCI or drug-related problems then? Or PCI meaning pharmaceutical care issues. If the patient is taking up previous medication, maybe that past medications are also being taken up currently then, okay? But they may actually combine. But the current medication, the main difference with this is the present that has been taken up with the medication. Maybe combining with this may have drug interactions then. So you take note of the strength, the direction, the date of last dose, the name of the prescriber, if there's any. If none, then you'll be able to to leave it as an space. So that one, depending upon, because some patient may actually forgot the date of the last dose or the direction then, and etc. Okay? So it's very important to take note with the current and the past. And you'll be able to clarify then the specificity of the generic and brand name of particular medications. And another one would be herbal supplements, vitamins, minerals, and others, including of which would be the hormonal replacement therapy or HRT or the oral contraceptives then that may interfere or it may actually have interactions with a particular medications. So you need really to dig on with that in terms of other interventions by the patient or self-medicated, no, or over-the-counter medications and all, no? And second to the last would be the medication adherence. So you need to take note of those medications which may be non-adherent or difficulty of compliance then with the medication. And what may be the issue then? How to use it? Can the patient can the patient actually use it? No, do know how to use it? Okay, and is there any issues then? Or is it remarkably a PCI or drug-related problems? After which of the documentation, you'll be able to identify then, among all the data, you'll be able to summarize if it is really a drug-related problems or not. Okay, so this is our systematically been done. It's not just from the name of the patient, you jump into the medication adherence. It should be a stepwise approach, you know, of collecting with the data. You don't go from name to allergy. No, there should be a systematic approach. You need to fill up first the demographics, going into the basics of it, going into the drug. Okay, you need to look into first the past medical history before you move on to the medication history of the patient. Now, moving on, you'll be able to sign it, identify your name, and of course, the date. Now, after all those things, after identifying the PCI or the pharmaceutical care issues or the drug-related problems, you'll be able to have a plan. What will be your care plan then? The issues, the action, and of course, the outcome, which was discussed to you last time. And then you'll be able to have the pharmacist name and the signature. You don't need to have it as a paragraph, but then only a group of words or a phrase then that would actually have would be simple for all of us to actually read rather than put it into the whole sentence. You'll be able to remove those which unnecessary words that are in the pharmaceutical care plan. Okay, so I think that's all. And thank you very much for for listening. And I hope and I pray you'll be able to have the workshop that will be given to you after this particular lecture. Thank you very much.